to the Mindbender Mental Performance Podcast.
Welcome back to the Mindbender Mental Performance Podcast, the only podcast that Dominicans say makes players fuerta en la cabeza. El lugar es aquí, el momento es ahora. Wherever you are, the place is here and the time is now. Taking it from the clouds to the dirt, one episode at a time. It's all about showing up, being present, knocking down those mental and oftentimes emotional barriers that get in the way of consistent, confident, controllable performance outcomes. Today, we continue on the 10 pillars breakdown. Yesterday, we dove into the foundation of the 10 pillars and some of the aspects that go along with building the foundation. Today, we're going to dive into pillar number 1, elite mindset. I'm talking about the kind of mindset that separates the good from the great. Without it, you'll keep spinning in circles. You're going to be doubting yourself, wondering if you've got what it takes. But once you get this mindset dialed in, you'll stop seeing setbacks as setbacks, but setups as setbacks as a setup for a comeback. You'll start seeing failure as fuel. You'll start seeing adversity as your advantage, and you start using them as opportunities to get better, not bitter. That's where the magic happens. So let's get into the tools, the drills, and the skills and the stories that helps build an elite mindset. First off, let me hit you with a story. Set the stage. Years back, been working with a guy, been riding the bench, watching starters from the sideline every damn day. He'd show up early, gear up, lock in, and go through his routines, acting like he was a starter, down to organizing his locker like a guy who knows he's a superstar. And when you know it, when he finally got his shot, because we're always one pitch away, when it finally came, he didn't just play, he dominated. Nobody knows who Wally Pipp is. He was one of the greatest players in the game at one point. Played for the Yankees, went out for a rip, came in hungover, said, Skip, I got to sit it out. He said, hey, pop a couple Tylenol, man, have a seat. We'll give this kid Gehrig a try. That was Gehrig. He was ready. He didn't come out of the lineup for 20 years. Wally Pipp would go on to say those were 2 of the most expensive Tylenol he's ever taken. Our team has also worked with a UFC fighter named Vitor Belfort. I remember the great Ichabod Kane telling me a story before the Chris Weidman fight years ago. Kane was in Vegas in Vitor's hotel room. He asked him the $1 million question. Vitor, what do you know now that you wish you would have known going back to the 17, 18, 19-year-old Vitor? What would you say? And I remember him talking about the difference that Vitor mentioned between a boy and a man, and the difference between principles and preference. And Vitor went on to say, Brian, it's simple. A man lives off his principles. A boy lives off his preferences, what he feels like doing. A man lives off his principles, what he must do to progress forward. Another thing when it comes to fighting is something we call work in the cut. Great fighters and great teams understand the value of work in the cut. Landing the jab, not going for the knockout punch, landing the jab, cutting the opponent, surviving the assault back, and going back to work, working that cut until you finish him. Sometimes it's not always a bullet to the head. It's death by 1,000 cuts. Working the cut may be sweat before screens. It may be your mission, vision, principles process, your above and below the line behaviors. It may be AM and PM routine. It may be pregame, in-game, post-game routine, shadow work, 1% better plan, reading 5 pages of heads-up baseball. What are you doing? Now, here's a concept from Ohio State's football team. E plus R equals O. When we talk about signs of success, another aspect of elite mindset, pillar number 1. Any event that happens, how you respond determines your outcome. We have very little control on what goes on around us, but we have total control on how we respond. It's about how we handle it. So the bands that they wear on the Ohio State football team, they say E plus R equals O, and serve as a constant reminder that they're not reacting They're responding. There's three sides to the coin. There's heads, there's tails. In the middle, there's that ridge, and that's neutral. So stimulus, response, but in the middle, there's the pause. Control your response and you control the outcome. Simple, but not easy. Now another concept, start, stop, continue. I love this one. Start, stop, continue, or as Kobe Bryant liked to call it, well, better, how. And there's a great video of Kobe online talking about well, better, how. You can go check that out. I'm not going to do you a disservice by handing it all to you, because the best coaches, they show you where to look, but they don't tell you what to see. So go check it out. And you can hear him talking about the breakdown of what went well, what could I have done better, and how am I going to fix it. He said, I'm excited. Failure is fuel. Failure is feedback. Winners lose more than losers lose, because the winners keep coming back and dissecting it and trying to figure out what went well, what can I be doing better, and how am I going to fix it. That is the relentless pursuit of improvement. Another example is a guy that our team works with, especially Ichabod Kane, Corbin Burns. When you combine pure talent with consistent physical strength, that big old brute on top of Corbin's island up there, and conditioning, you get something magical. Like what happened with Corbin at the beginning of the season. He went 7-0, helping his team get to the NL championship in his rookie season. That is what Corbin Burns did when he came onto the scene in 2018 with the Brewers. But what happened when suddenly that success stops and the struggle and the adversity starts, right? Well, it depends on how you respond to the struggle. Athletes can get frustrated. And instead of saying frustrated, we might want to say fascinated. So if you're saying the word frustrated a lot, replace the word frustrated with the word fascinated. Because if you're fascinated with it, now it's light, it's curious, it's not judgmental, it's inquisitive, as opposed to frustrated, right? So athletes can get frustrated and blame. They can complain. They can get defensive. Remember, no BCD, no bad body language, no complaining, no getting defensive. Or they can become fascinated and go on a mission looking for answers. Corbin Burns became fascinated. The greatest athletes, they view success and struggle the same way, as data points. In a lab, when scientists get a reaction that is not desirable, they don't throw glass breakers against the wall and rip up data charts. They go back to their process and look for holes and missteps. They know the formula and process has something that's missing. Great athletes, they're like scientists, even mad scientists, right? When the outcome isn't desirable, they look for the weakness and work to fix it. So when pure talent and elite physical conditioning are not working, what's next? When getting bigger, faster, and stronger is not possible because you are already in elite physical condition, what weaknesses are there to fix? These are the questions that plagued the great Corbin Burns in 2019 when he was sent down to the minors and back to the pen. Yes, just 1 year after his 2018 breakthrough success, he recorded an 8.82 ERA as a starting pitcher. What was missing? Like a mad scientist, he looked at the data and questioned the process. He found his answers within, and so often we all do. Mental performance training, an improved process, and a set of routines. Corbin was brutally honest with his self-evaluation after each game. He knew he couldn't just rely on his natural talent, not at that level, right? Because gritty beats pretty, toughness beats talent, and hard work beats talent. When talent doesn't work hard, it doesn't have the system in the mental game. So every post game, he'd break it down. What worked, what needs work, what can be better, and how am I going to do it? That's how you stay sharp. Post game pitching execution journal. Next, step in elite mindset, BFS, body language, focus, self-talk. This is huge. Body language, focus, and self-talk are like the holy trinity of elite mindset. Walk like a damn champion. Like do that octagon walk when you're walking out to the mound, when you're walking out to your position, when you're walking to take possession of your batter's box. Like it's the last game you're ever going to play. Lock in and keep your self-talk in check. When we talk about self-talk, there's probably nobody better who was doing it back in the day in big league baseball than the man who's on the Mount Rushmore of the mental game in big league ball in the Grande Ligas than Ken Revisa himself, right over here on the wall, right? Said things like the pitcher has to beat you 3 times. You only need to beat him once. Slow the game down by slowing yourself down. And your breathing. Work the process and learn every day. The time is now, the place is here. It begins before it begins. A routine is not a superstition or a ritual. It's not magic. It's a process that's fundamental, creating consistency and confidence in performance. It's one thing to have experience. It's another thing to learn from your experience. You have to be able to get it done with your A game, your B game, and your C game. So those are some things from the great Ken Revisa right? And it's like this: you're either hyping yourself up or tearing yourself down with every word you choose. Now, if I say the word water, I'm not going to get wet, but you know what I mean, right? Confidence resume. A killer tool for confidence is a confidence resume. So what we do with guys is we have thousands of wins in our life. We don't take the time to celebrate those wins, and we use them as fuel to fuel our motivation, our commitment, our mission, vision, principles moving forward day by day. So we act even if we don't feel like acting, right? So a guy, Jake Arrieta, y'all remember the run in 2016 he had with the great Chicago Cubs team there, also with TCU before that. I know Kaner had him there. Arrieta had what he called his ace card. It was a list of all his big wins, right? Or the confidence resume. So you look at the confidence resume and you go, what are my personal accomplishments? What are my professional accomplishments? What are my athletic accomplishments? What books have I read? What camps, seminars, learning experience, educational opportunities have I had? What people can I count on that are in my corner? Now we start to build out that confidence resume. So once we have that piece, and we go under and we do a body language focus and self-talk doing confidence resume. So when I'm my most confident self, my body language is what? Big, tall, swagger. When I'm my most confident self, my focus is locked in, present, where my feet are. When I'm my most confident self, my self-talk is productive, above the line, growth, learn it all, not a know-it-all. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Amen. Right? And Jake Arrieta used to write on his hat right here, ACE. Acting and attitude changes everything. Right? So you have to have reasons to believe in yourself. Everybody remembers the great UFC fighter George St. Pierre, aka GSP. His number one strategy for success was he would confidence is a choice. And if you've ever gone to that, you can go online, you can find it. You can type in GSP, confidence is a choice. It'll pull right up on the YouTube, on the interwebs. And you can see, when I will fight Michael Bisping on Saturday night, I will be scared. I will have fear, but I will act differently than I feel because confidence is a choice. GSP, right? It's not about ego. It's about reminding yourself of who the fuck you are. Another great athlete that we can model from is the great Michael Phelps, right? Big fish. 3 rules for no limit living. And if you haven't read his book, check it out. Elite. Michael Phelps laid out 3 rules for living without limits. Number 1, his daily mental practice. This guy was a master at performance breathing, right? So we do our cadence of 6-8, might be a 4-4-4 box. I'm doing performance breathing with other guys to get them ready to go perform, whether it's at practice or in the game. And that's a little more of activating the belly with the breath and doing more extended breath holds and locking in. But however you do it, do it. Do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. Don't feel like training? Tough shit. Read your mission, vision, principles, your above and below the line behaviors, and show up anyway. Oh, I'm just going through the motions. Maybe don't do that. Maybe grow through the motions instead of going through the motions. When you get off course, get back on. Number 3 for Phelps. When you get off the course, get back on as quick as possible. The second you slip, course correct. Don't let one off day become a week of excuses where you spiral into the abyss. Nobody's 100% compliant. Just be a little bit better today than you were yesterday. Not comparing yourself to who somebody else is today. Another thing we go through for Elite Mindset is 10 lessons from Navy SEAL community. These guys have the mental toughness wired in. Here's the top 10 lessons why. Number 1, never show weakness. Number 2, never feel sorry for yourself. Number 3, stay patient in the face of adversity. Number 4, the only easy day, that was yesterday. Number 6, the race to excellence has no finish line. It reminds me, I forget his name, UFC fighter the other, but you can watch the interview when he says, when he has the belt and he says, this belt doesn't belong to me. This belt belongs to no one. You see, it wasn't about the belt. It wasn't about that finish line. It's a never ending pursuit. It's a lifestyle. It's legendary, not temporary. So, it's like, what's your favorite fight? The next one. Yes, Tom Brady, what's your favorite ring? The next one. Number 7, we don't rise to the occasion. We sink to our habits. Most guys, they think if they don't do it, if they don't do the success checklist, if we don't do the AM PM routine, if we're not doing our shadow work, if we're not doing our 1% better, if we're not listening to the podcast, reading the books, they think they're just going to rise to the occasion. It don't work that way. We sink to the level of our preparation and our routines and habits, our time management and organization. our motivation and commitment. Number 8, NDCQ, not dead, can't quit. Number 9, adversity. We're going to make adversity our advantage. That's the growth mindset. Embrace it, right? Tough times don't last. Tough people do. That's where you grow. I was talking to a guy today. It's like this, man. Sometimes you think you've been buried. You've just been planted. Get ready for the growth. Number 10, one word focus. How about good? When things go sideways, just say good and fix it. If you haven't seen Jocko's Good, go to YouTube, type in Jocko Good, Jocko Good, and you can tap in on probably one of the greatest one-word focuses in the history of the world, good. Let's talk a little bit now about the core 4 fundamentals of optimal living, or as I like to call it with the guys I work with, the EMMS or the M's. Now, I can't hammer this elite mindset thing home without talking about these core 4 fundamentals, because no matter what you do, you can't out-train how you eat, move, how your mindset is, and how you sleep. So when it comes to eating, are you fueling yourself right? Nothing fancy, just good fuel, right? On the odds, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., however you do it. But just make sure you're doing it. We all know how to eat well. Eat the apple, walk around the block. How about movement? First we have eat, then we move. Get the body in motion. Motivation comes after movement begins. Movement changes fucking moods. So before you get lost in screens, make sure you sweat, right? Make sure you sweat. Mindset. A third thing, mindset. Start each day. Lock in on your savers. Your silence, your affirmation, your visualization, your exercise, your reading, your scribing. You're setting your mental GPS. Right? And a GPS is, we can type it in to go to New York City from the flatlands of Arizona today. I can leave at midnight, have the tires, have the gas, have the snacks, have everything, but I need the headlights. The headlights go the next 200 feet. So go the next 200 feet. You don't have to go the whole journey in one step. And then lastly, sleep. We can't out-train shit sleep. Create a shutdown routine, create a PM routine, and guard your sleep like it's game day. Your time management only goes as far as your energy management. We got to manage our energy. The next concept, K minus A equals O. Knowledge minus action equals nothing. You can read all the books, sit through all the damn podcasts, but if you don't get off your ass and put it into work, it's meaningless. Knowledge only becomes power when it's backed by action. Plenty of people know what to do, but don't do what they know. Building an elite mindset is all about doing a little, a lot, not a lot, a little. It's not built overnight, and the journey is always the hardest at the beginning, and it's the start that stops most people. You want to go the distance? Do a little every day, not a lot at once on a blue moon, huh? Tune in to the Mindbender Mental Performance Podcast on YouTube or on No Filter Network. Yes, it's episode 131, but I believe roughly 80 plus of those were banned from YouTube for digital copyright music violations. So if you want to check out the ones that are not on YouTube, go to nofilternetwork.com and you can check those out. Make sure you're checking out the Mental Performance Daily every day for those daily reps. If you want a quick hit, you can call my boy Dr. Rob Gilbert at Success Hotline at 973-743-4690 and hear, 15,000 messages that he's been doing since the 40s. I don't know. Check out the Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday too. Just trying to give you guys options every day to add in because the rent is due. It's not about doing a lot. It's about showing up day after day because it's today plus today plus today that equals your goals and dreams. Consistency is a superpower. And that's our mini breakdown of elite mindset for you guys today. The foundation of everything else we're building on here. You get this right and you start to see setbacks as setups for comebacks. You start doubting yourself and start realizing what you're really fucking made of. On the next episode, we're diving into pillar number 2, motivation and commitment. Now, here's the thing. Nobody reaches the big goals or the grande ligas or maxes out their potential without a hell of a lot of motivation and commitment. We got to build the foundation for that because motivation's like a warm bath. It fades. You got to have something deeper. You got to have things in place like a mission, vision, principles, above and below the line behaviors, a standard that you live by. When adversity comes knocking, and it always does, how committed you are will decide whether you push through or pack it up. The choice is yours. You're going to be somewhere tomorrow in 5 years. The big question is where? That's up to you. Para mis jugadores latinos, más línea, más vida. Hasta la próxima, recuerda, si quieres ser un jugador disciplinado, comprometido y preparado en el futuro, empiezas esa mierda hoy. Se necesita lo que se necesita y lo mejor está por venir. And for those of you wondering, man, is Kowalski really Mexican? I carry around my own personal bottle of Tajín. Until next time, remember, if you want to be a disciplined, committed, and prepared ball player in the future, you start that shit today. It fucking takes what it takes. And the best is yet to come.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for